Mahkato Education has arrived in Mankato, and today leaders went to middle schools to teach sixth graders about Indigenous culture, history, and traditions.
Aaron Stuvey takes us there.
A decades-long tradition of reconciliation and understanding. The annual Mahkato Education has been partnering with the Mankato School District to make the Friday before the Education an education day for nearly 40 years. Usually that day happens at Land of Memories Park at the site of the celebration, but a wet and gloomy day forced the learning back inside. But that didn't stop Area 6th graders from getting an inside look at Indigenous culture, history, and traditions.
People do know more about our Indigenous history than when I first started teaching. So to see that increase in awareness, that remembering and knowing about the Indigenous history, I think is so important, and we've seen that growth year after year.
The program comes from the desire to make community a priority of the Education, connecting groups from different cultures to learn more about one another. That extends into the classroom, and teachers in the district say that much of the progress made over the years is due to the work of the students themselves.
Sometimes middle schoolers get a bad rap, but here at Prairie Winds, the curiosity and the empathy and their willingness to open up their minds to understand from community experts to see how this area has some significant historical value.
In Mankato, Aaron Stuvey, KUYC News Now.
While Education Day was rained out, the Education will take place in Land of Memories Park all weekend long, rain or shine, with the first grand entry happening at 7 o'clock tonight.